Hi everyone, this is an update for the middle of week 8. As it turns out, there's quite a few things to talk about, so I thought I'd make an update today to stop the weekend one from getting too large. First thing I want to mention is the FPS issues. I think I finally nailed down the cause and will hopefully find a solution soon. I've noticed that every time the FPS issues start, I get a notification from Windows that an issue has come up with my Hitbox driver, so I'm 90% sure it's connected to that. Uninstalling the drivers, restarting the computer, and plugging the controller back in seems to solve that issue from what I can tell. So the worst case scenario is that I'd probably do that every few weeks or whatever as it comes up. This will be the last time that I mention that problem, and it looks like the game will always be playable, so that's good news all around. The second thing is the videos for this series. As you can see, I've made a small intro, which I thought was cool at first, but then seeing it on the preview for YouTube, I thought, yep, that's exactly what somebody would make if they had no clue what they were doing. I'm gonna iterate on it between the weeks and maybe scrap it for a new idea if I get something better. I've been contemplating on how to make the highlights more interesting too. So far the best answer is probably just to cut the runtime down and add some music, but I think I'm gonna try something different this weekend. Since I've made a ton of videos now and I've got a flow down, I'm gonna try to commentate my replays one more time. Reviewing replays is also a skill that improves with time, right, since I'm learning more and more concepts as I rank up, and I think it'd be pretty cool to showcase that. Seeing what problems I'm looking out for in gold versus platinum and diamond would be pretty interesting to go back and check out, and if I were to ever share this series, it could be useful for someone else who's watching. I'm not sure how it'll go. I don't want to make 30-minute highlights either, so I'm going to try this once, but more than likely, unless it's great, I'm just going to end up adding some music and shortening those videos. The last sad note is about the questions from 2 weeks ago. Long story short, from what I've seen, Wake Up Parry is a legit defensive wake up option that high level players use sometimes, but I don't plan on using it. I already have a problem with using Wake Up Super that I need to stop, so I don't want to compound that with parries, at least for now. I didn't mention it last week since there were no highlights, but I did fight another Colleen, and I interrupted his Wake Up parry with my media attack after throwing him, so it is possible to interrupt them if you time things right or if you have auto time setups. Researching the stun combo led me to a lot of good information, which I'm gonna summarize here. The main combo seems to be Light Hailstorm into the regular jump-in combo, but the addition of the Hailstorm literally only adds 1 damage, so I was already like 99% optimal in my own matches. Damage scaling seems to be pretty wild, so I decided to learn ways to get around it if possible. I learned that if you stun someone by throwing them, it completely resets damage scaling, so throwing is going to be the best option as your last attack if you can get that off. To complement this, I also decided to learn a very simple reset so that I can get even more damage with a good read. It's basically the corner carry combo you see here, but instead of doing the kick into Parabellum, you just medium punch to air reset them and then either do throw or do something meaty or bait a DP. It's going to be something that I add to my notes along with the stun combo this week. In terms of the progress on the goals, it's mostly bad news, unfortunately. Last week's issues threw me off, and fixing my timing on standing heavy punch is harder than I thought in actual matches, so I'm postponing whiff punishing until next week. That leaves me with meaties, the standing heavy punch timing, and the stun combo as my mechanical goals. On the strategy side, I've decided to start learning the character matchups. A few days ago, I was super disappointed in myself because I rage quit a match versus a Guile. It was the first time I've ever done anything like that, and I felt horrible afterwards, and I still feel really embarrassed by it. There's no way that I know of to contact that guy and apologize, but I wish there was because that was a pretty messed up thing to do to him. After that match, I sat back for a bit and I thought about why I did it and my thought process leading up to it. Basically, in my head I was thinking really stupid things as I got more frustrated, like, Guile is such an easy character, blah blah blah. Obviously none of it was true. I'm not low tier god, with that massive ego to actually believe that, and even as I had those thoughts I knew they weren't true. It was just kind of a way to blow off that steam, and it ended up going too far. It's a weird feeling because even though I've been frustrated before, I've never been anywhere near that frustrated to start complaining or rage quitting. Looking deeper, the anger just came from not knowing or having any clue what to do. In fact, I feel that way against pretty much all of the cast, but especially Guile, Ryu, Ken, and Akuma. I went to the Colleen matchup notes on the Discord, and Guile apparently is one of her worst matchups. Ryu and Akuma also seem to be a bit rough, but I think Ken is just something that I struggle with on my own, personally. Coincidentally, looking at the match statistics, those also happen to be the 4 characters I played against the most, and then looking online, those are actually the most popular characters in the game. So when you take that into account and then add in the other characters which I rarely see but still don't know how to fight, and the fact that almost every player I fought this week is either super gold or close to it, I ended up feeling really kind of helpless most of the time. These guys are much more experienced, they have plans, I don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and start learning the Guile matchup this week along with Ryu, I think, and next week I'd move on to Akuma and Ken, so on and so forth. I'm not sure how I'm going to be doing this yet. I could either make videos, make a new Xmind document and take notes there, or I could just take time and check out how high level Colleens handle the matchups. I'm also not sure how long it'll take, since I want to make the Getting Good series a priority still, and they're not at character matchups yet. Oh, and to add to that, I'm going to assume that V-Trigger 2 is much more helpful versus projectiles in VT1, so I'm actually wondering if maybe now is the time to make that switch, or if there's still way more important things to get out of the way first before changing V-Triggers. Or if I can even make it all the way up without it easily enough. I mean, I really like VT1, it's still really cool, but if VT2 is that much more useful, then I will change over. Once again, I have quite a lot of stuff to research and look up, so I'll let you guys know what I find out on Sunday.